Oh my god, this is terrifying. Ah. Huh? Huh. Oh. Oh, it's the... Oh. It's the new promo CG stuff from Square Enix for Stormblood. Let's look at this one behind here. Ugh. It can't be. No! 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 Hello, Erusians! Welcome to this first episode of Secrets of a Realm, a video series diving into Final Fantasy XIV's mysteries, be it unused content, Easter eggs, or content hidden in-game, it's all welcome in this series. So today I was originally going to cover the unused Sand Caves dungeon from 1.0, but then a certain piece of content became relevant again. I speak, of course, of the 1.0 opening cutscene. Whoa, whoa, whoa there, Lukiel. How the hell did this opening cutscene become relevant in 2017? We have Stormblood. No one cares about that old sad opening cutscene. Okay, chill. We'll get to that. But first, let's take a look at how this cutscene played out. So here we are in an Adventurers Guild. Notice that the lovely 1.0 Aetheryte is there in the background. Our soon-to-be Warrior of Light is stacking up on the game's key feature at the time, leaves.
Very well.
God, I love that old map design. That map version was never actually used in the game, by the way.
How long must we wait? I grow weary of the company.
The feeling, my dear, is mutual.
Aha! What do we have here? No job is too daunting as long as the coin is good.
Bah, you'd sell your own mother if the coin was good.
My father, too. Now quiet down and help me decide.
I've no particular preference.
And why does that not surprise me?
Choose as you will, Midlander.
This beast's
Our
in a
fate
frenzy the likes I've never seen!
Look out! He's right on top of us!
Move, lass, move!
Okay, so after this we cut to the Mordona fight. That's not relevant to us, so returning to this scene...
Look who's returned from his reverie.
So nice of you to join us again.
Well, don't keep us in suspense.
And Derplander selects the leave.
This one. We'll start with this one.
Ah, he speaks.
Can we go now?
And we're off.
Let us give the bard something to sing.
Okay, that's all we need to know for now, but hold on. This is Eorzea. So where are we? Think about it. This is the opening cutscene for Final Fantasy XIV. This should be a location in Eorzea that we'll visit at some point in the game, but we never do. This location has an Aetheryte smack bang in the middle of the room, nothing like any of the Adventurers Guilds in the game. The simple answer would be that VisualWorks, Square Enix's CGI animation studio, simply had to start making the cutscene long before the final game was ready for release, which makes sense. CGI animations take forever to create, but that doesn't invalidate the location. The CGI team must have worked from a finished design that was intended to be implemented in the game. So let's say that this is supposed to be in Eorzea, an early version of a city-state. First of all, let's take a look at that map. If this was a very early point in Final Fantasy XIV 1.0's development, it's interesting to see that pretty much every single location on the current release of Final Fantasy XIV's map was present and named on this map. We can clearly make out Aldernard and Vilbrand, even Dravania and Girabania. I am noticing a few interesting points here though. First of all, none of the city-states have their coat of arms above them. Second, we can see the locations having been decided on. Ul'dah, Gridania, Alamigo, Ishgard, and Limsa Lominsa are all placed more or less in the same locations as in the finished release of 14. When the scene returns after the Mordona debacle, Derplander places the leave plate on the map. The map has now changed slightly, and everything is now very clear. We can now perfectly read Alamigo and Selpathol, but sadly we don't get to see anything else on the map. This sudden change in map quality could be the result of the world getting closer to completion when this part of the cutscene was created. Okay, so we're in a very early version of Eorzea. Definitely a place in Eorzea that was intended to exist. But where are we? Let's take a look at the general layout of the place. We know from this first shot that there's only one entrance to the building, this massive archway. The arch has what looks like an iron gate. For orientation's sake, let's make that entrance south. On the east side of the room, we find the guild leave counter, and a bit further up from that, we find what looks like a hallway leading into something I can't quite make out. From this shot, we can see that there are 2 floors in the building, and in this shot we can clearly see a person using the stairs leading up to the 2nd floor. Seeing as the perspective we're looking from here has us facing away from the entrance, the stairwell must be located slightly to the northwest. Behind the Ellison in this shot, we see what looks like a fruit stand, implying that there might have been a food market in that direction, to the west of the room. Okay, so now we have a rough map of the building. Looking closer at it, it doesn't actually help us at all. It simply doesn't line up with any of the 1.0 adventurer skills. It has features that just don't belong in a location like this. So let's start to look at the design. The building has a large, ornate glass dome in what looks like a very classic Eorzean pattern. Pretty hard to distinguish exactly where in Eorzea this pattern is from, but it does seem like a pattern we'd find in areas like Gridania or Limsa Lominsa, although it really could be found anywhere in Eorzea. The plants in the room are mostly made out of ferns in all kinds and sizes, no flower barrels. Ferns of this kind are usually found around Thanalan and Lenosha. Now, the first detail that could help circle in where this is taking place is the stone blocks used in the building construction. Gridania's buildings are mostly made out of wood, which makes it unlikely to be anywhere in the Black Shroud. Look closely at the stone here, and the cast iron on top of it. The pale white stone with the black cast iron detail nailed on top. This detail alone makes it clear to me where we are. This kind of design is unique to a very specific city-state in the game. Not only that structure, but the railings around the aetheryte and the lamps hanging down from the ceiling. It's probably already given away the first moments in the video when our Ellison friend puts the map on the table. Notice where his finger is pointing before he starts tracing their next route. His hand is very clearly pointing at Limsa Lominsa. Yes. I believe the opening cutscene of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 takes place in a very early version of the Drowning Wench in Limsa Lominsa. Whatever the reason, the dev team scrapped the idea of having the aetheryte in the middle of the Adventurers Guilds and redesigned the whole place. I believe VisualWorks was handed a very early version of Limsa Lominsa in 2007 or 2008, which had to be done by 2009 for the game's trailer and release in 2010. What makes me say that? Well, look at this very early concept video for Final Fantasy XIV released all the way back in 2005, codenamed Rapture. This looks to me like a very clear prototype build of Limsa Lominsa. The boardwalks, the cast iron, and of course the fact that it's built on the water are the main clues that confirms that this is a super early version of what would later become Limsa Lominsa. And what's this? A massive glass dome. Safe to say they quickly went away from the whole glass-encased building deal, but parts of the concept remained in the design of Limsa at the time Visual Works was brought in to make the opening cinematic. The only actual remnant I can point out in today's Drowning Wench is the large archway leading into the tavern. It has no iron gate and it seems smaller in scale than what we saw in the opening movie, but still, it's all we've got. Hooray! Problem solved, case closed, we can all go home now, right? Not quite. Because this brings me to the reason why I made this video in the first place. In early July 2017, Square Enix released some CGI renders for their new classes Samurai and Red Mage, made by Square Enix's Visual Works to celebrate Stormblood. Notice something interesting here. Notice where this Red Mage is standing. The glass dome, the cast iron, the pale stones, the swirly pillars. She is standing in the prototype Limsa Lominsa building. And this picture gave us the final nail in the coffin. This detail right here, a very clear Lominsan detail, but why would they use this location? What prompted the people at Visual Works to use this old, obsolete relic from pre-1.0 as a background for one of the new jobs added in Stormblood? We may never know, but it does leave us with a burning question. Is this version of Limsa Lominsa being repurposed in a future location? Only time will tell. You smell that? That's the end of the video smell, and that's a nice smell indeed. Thank you all for watching this first episode of Secrets of a Realm. I hope you enjoyed your time here. In the next one, we'll look closer at the sand caves from 1.0, so I hope you look forward to that. If you enjoyed yourself here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and feel free to speculate in the comments below about this. I'll be lurking in the comments, eager to read your takes on this mystery. See you all in the next one, Eorzeans. May you ever walk in the light of the crystal.